Hello and welcome to this first lecture of how can we use systems thinking for problem solving. So in this section, we will take you through an in-depth view of how can you use systems thinking for problem solving. And of the two questions that we will focus on, we will address in this lecture how can the systems thinking help identify the root cause of the complex problem, and how can it do by examining the underlying structures and dynamics of the system involved. So the answer lies in the question itself. The system thinking helps identify the root causes of the complex problem by basically providing this framework that we have talked about. And we will look at in detail the elements of the framework that can be used for examining the underlying structures and dynamics of the interconnected system. And how does this work? Let's take a look at that. So it starts with the systems thinking emphasizing the interconnectedness of different elements within the system. We had a whole section on interconnectedness as we started. And what it sees system thinking does is it views problems in not in isolation, but it considers the various components, how they interact and influence each other. And by understanding these interconnections, it allows you as an analyst to trace the flow of influence and identify where the problems originate. Also, it contains feedback loops. Systems often contain feedback loops where the output of one part of the systems become input to another part. And that leads to either reinforcing or balancing feedback systems, as we saw in a lecture on feedback systems, feedback loops. Now, system thinking enables the identification and analysis of these feedback loops. We know now, positive loops can amplify problems, while negative loops can stabilize or counteract. And understanding the role of these feedback loops helps pinpoint underlying causes of the persistent problems. So that's the role of the feedback loops and their analysis in identifying the root cause. Then also it considers the dynamic behavior of the system over time, and we talked about in one of the sections on dynamic behavior. It looks at how system components interact and involve uh, leading to emergent behaviors. By analyzing system dynamics, systems thinking reveals those patterns, trends, and feedbacks that contribute to the emergence and persistence of the problems. And this understanding helps uncover root causes hidden beneath the surface level symptoms. Also, it helps the system thinking helps identify systemic dynamic structures such as stocks and flows that we talked about earlier, delays in the feedback loops, thresholds that we saw that gives rise to a major change in the behavior after the threshold point, and non-linear relationship. And these structures influence the behavior of the system and can contribute to the emergence of problems. By examining these underlying structures, system thinking reveals how systems behavior arise from interaction between the components, allowing you to identify the root causes. Also, system thinking consider the feedback effect of the interventions within the system. It recognizes that the changes made in one part of the system can have unintended consequences elsewhere, and by anticipating and analyzing these feedback effects, system thinking helps identify potential root causes of the problem that may result from well-intentioned interventions. You never thought that intervention that you implemented would lead to a problem, and it helps you discover that in advance by and avoids the problem. Often deploys dynamic modeling or simulation techniques, and that represents that can help you represent and analyze the complex systems And these models allow you to simulate the behavior of the system under different conditions and test your hypothesis about the underlying causes of the problem, right? So it doesn't only tell you what are the possible problem root causes, but also helps you simulate and test and verify. So by using these simulation tools, systems thinking facilitates exploration of the system dynamics and the identification and verification of the root causes. So overall, system thinking helps identify the root causes of a complex system by providing a comprehensive framework for examining the underlying structures and dynamics of the interconnected systems. By understanding how system components interact and influence each other over a period of time, it enables you to uncover hidden relationships and dependencies that contribute to emergence and persistence of the problems. So, having looked at how system thinking helps identify the root causes, we will now take a look at an example of how actually it can do that. And that's the matter of the next lecture. So, thank you so much for watching this first lecture on how to use systems thinking for problem solving. I hope you're continuing to learn new things, continuing to enjoy, and I do look forward to see you again in the next lecture. Please feel free to message me if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer a question. And also download the PDF file to take a look at anything that is of specific interest to you.